Once again, it's time for the Team Lift podcast with your hosts, Brandon Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Let's go ahead and get right into the show. What up, everybody? It is your boy, Roderick McDaniel, everybody's favorite black uncle, coming at you once again with the Team Lift podcast. And I'm followed by the grouchiest man in America and my partner in crime, Mr. Brandon Bowie. What's up, Brandon?
Hello.
Brandon's had a rough week, boy. I'm going to tell you why, baby. Brandon...
It's about to be rougher.
Yeah, Brandon and I, a lot of you guys don't know this. The first time you and I ever really hung out outside of work was when we did this podcast.
Yep.
And I always tell people that they always listen to it and they say, but you guys sound like old friends. And I said, Brandon and I were probably partners in a crime back in another life. And we just clicked in this life when we did this podcast. And so I said, but it's like the first time we ever hung out, like for a long period of time outside of work, was when we started Team Lift. And now we hang out all the freaking time. But a lot of things that happen when you hang out all the time is that sometimes you have conversations about things that get emotional. and then those emotions come back in here. We got to do a show. And then we got to be like nice to each other. Where just maybe 20 minutes before this recording, we were screaming at each other, fuck you, and everything related to you.
We've never say those things. I don't know where you're getting this from.
Yeah. No, Brandon and I had just probably friend of the show. We had JD, and we were talking about console gaming and PC gaming and experiences and how they tie into where we are emotionally. And so Brandon, we know you are PC master race till you die. That is just who you are. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the things that I've come to love and accept about you. That is, you're like that lovable uncle that's also a clan member. You're just a shithead, but we love you because you're family. But no, and it's one of those things, man. We just get into that, and then we come in and do the show. So Brandon and I had to take some time to get ready for this show. Plus, you're getting ready to go out on the road. Got a big vacation coming up.
Yep.
So we're coming to you, and Brandon is tired as hell.
It's not just going to be like I'm still going to be working on my vacation because I'm still going to be releasing this thing on Sunday.
Yeah.
Come hell or high water, I'm getting in. I'm going to get it released.
Yeah, this is the kind of guy Brandon is. Brandon goes on vacation, and on his vacation, he's still working on getting this podcast to you guys. And this is why he is the greatest partner in crime, man. And this is why we work, because even after this show's recorded, we still have a long night. We're going to do some post-production work on this show, and then you're going to start packing while we're doing all this.
I'm going to get it posted. I'm going to get it up. I'm going to get it ready, and then that way all I have to do is just log in and click publish on Sunday.
Okay. Man, you guys get a chance, definitely stop by our Facebook page, show Brandon some love, or hit us in the inbox, man, because seriously, this guy loves you fans, and he does a lot of crazy stuff. Most people go on vacation. They don't think about this show. Brandon hits the road for the last 2 months. You've been on the road every weekend?
Pretty much.
And you have not missed publishing one episode.
Well, no. I did miss one.
You did miss one.
But I got it up. It was just a day late, I think.
Yeah, I think we came on Monday that day. But that was a weird weekend for everybody.
Yeah. We
had a weird weekend. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off with something that's pretty emotional to me, and Brandon knows this has been pretty emotional to me. Bleach, the manga, ending after 14 years. And that has been a really rough story for me. Like, I'm happy for it, the whole thing about, earlier this year, I decided, hey, I'm going to watch every episode of Bleach. Mm-hmm. And I want to see...
That sounds like it's a fucking chore.
It was 26 seasons, 366 episodes.
At how long each?
Roughly 22 to 23 minutes per episode.
You said 360?
366 at 22 minutes per episode. I can honestly say this. Let's just say 20 minutes per episode, because I took off after a certain point, I quit listening to songs. Like the opening song and the ending song. At some points, I quit listening to those and just jumped to the next episode.
5 1.36 solid days if they're 22-minute episodes apiece.
I did it. That was my March.
Yeah.
I did that in March. It was either March or it was April, but I decided I was going to start and watch Bleach from episode 1 all the way to episode 366
See, I
finish it.
I had some friends a while ago when I was still playing WoW, so this was at least 5 or 6 years ago, who were watching Bleach then, and one of them had started from the beginning and had watched up, and it took him 3 months to get all the way through it. I mean, and we're talking about somebody who his life is literally going to school, getting home from school, watching Bleach, and playing WoW at the same time.
Okay, let me tell you this. You know how difficult my life is, okay, and how much stuff I got going on with comedy and joint business ventures. I was at the point where I was going to the gym, and I would be on a treadmill.
Watching Bleach?
And I would have Bleach playing on my phone for, like, I would do an hour on a treadmill or on the stairs, on the stair climber. I'd do an hour, and it'd be like, oh my God, you just, burn 800 calories doing this workout on this treadmill, running, watching Bleach, bicycling, watching Bleach, stair stepper, watching Bleach. So I didn't even miss going to the gym. And then I would go home, shower, and still go to my bedroom and watch Bleach.
How do you watch Bleach now without your muscles hurting? Just by reflex.
Man, bro, I almost feel weird when I watch it and I'm not exercising. It's like either I'm supposed to be laying on my bed watching this, or I'm supposed to be, in the gym sweating profusely and watching this. But yeah, the weird part about it was the anime ended, gosh, I want to say like in 2012. Unexpectedly, like they just never explained why. They just quit. The anime just ended. It just quit, and when it ended, it was whoa. It was so whoa when it ended, and it was just like wow. It ended on a great note, and I was comfortable with how it ended. But at the same time, I was left like you could tell, hey, that ended really weird. So I decided this year, hey, I need to go back and kind of figure out what happened because there was stuff I missed. So that was what I did. And then for me to kind of spend 2016 committed to that, and then for me to see, hey, the manga's finally coming. And a lot of people are getting emotional about it. I don't know what the pre-orders are looking like to get this final volume. I will be adding it to my collection. But yeah, I kind of wanted to start the show with that because that was very emotional to me. Another thing that's been very emotional to me... There's a certain movie. There are movies that since we started the podcast, we know that these are films that Brandon will not support. Can we call them that? The films that Brandon hates? Would I even go as far as to say hates?
Just the Turd Awards.
The Turd Awards. The Brandon Turd Awards. That's what we would give them. One of those films is Batman vs. Superman. And it's infamous with our fans of the show.
Certified shit.
Fans of the show love you. In fact, one of the best things that's happened to me, one of my oldest, dearest friends, a guy named Cody Kenning that lives in Amarillo, Texas, listened to our Fuck Superman episode, which was like issue 9 of our podcast, right? Episode 9. And he said, Brandon said everything I've ever wanted to say about Batman versus Superman. And I think he and I could be new best friends. And I cracked up, man, because he said you nailed everything he felt about that film. So I thought that was funny, and I shared it with Brandon, and it was hilarious. The second film that we talk about on here that you hate, would you go ahead and tell us the name of it?
Were we talking about like 12 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag?
Yeah. This film is definitely starting to shape up into that.
Yeah.
What would that film be? If I said there's a film there are 2 films you hate, what would the second film be? Ghostbusters
2016.
Yes. That is exactly the film I'm about to talk about. Yes, Ghostbusters 2016. You came out. You were against the film. You just thought the trailer looked terrible.
Yeah, the trailer is.
You said the trailer was garbage, but you always said they have way too much talent for them to fuck this up. But they're going to fuck this up.
Yeah.
And you were very vocal about that. You were vocal about they were going to fuck up Ghostbusters 2016 when it was not popular to be vocal about it. Because let's face it, a lot of groups came out. A lot of guys that do podcasts were called, oh, you're sexist pigs, and you only hate the film because it's women. Where
I hate it because it's a bad film.
I hate it because it's a bad film. That was your whole thing.
The box office returns have obviously validated this claim.
Yes. Now let's go into this, man, because this film has this was a troubled thing. Okay, so it's basically as of August 7th, Ghostbusters had earned just under 180 million at the global box office. That included 117 million here domestically.
It's earned less in its full domestic and worldwide run than Suicide Squad has since it came out.
Yes.
And Suicide Squad, according to Rotten Tomatoes, is arguably a worse film.
Yeah, no.
According to the critics.
Yeah, the critics on Rotten Tomatoes said Suicide Squad was a 25 or 29.
And I think it's in the 30s actually. I mean, it may have gone down.
Maybe
since
it's coming
last
up
time I
then.
looked at
Because
it, but
the opening, I went that night, opening night to Suicide Squad. That Thursday, you remember I went to watch the Thursday night film here in town.
yeah,
Watched the XD digital version of it.
Yeah.
Loved it. No secret, where I feel about the film. I gave it an 85 out of 100. After I came out of the theater and called you and told you how I felt about it. It made more opening night than this film has made in a global release.
It made a little. I think it made 150 million opening night, but then in the subsequent days since opening night, it's definitely made way more than that film ever will make.
Oh
ever.
yeah, no. This is where we do have a problem with this, because Ghostbusters is at 180 million, only made 117 domestically. Now the film still hadn't opened in a few markets, but let's face it, this is France, Japan, and Mexico. Not really known for breaking or making films. This is usually where this is the gravy on your steak and mashed potato, those three countries. Mm-hmm. Your film is already a mega hit by the time it opens in those markets, okay? Now, here's the other problem. At 180 million, the experts, box office experts, are now coming out and saying they will have trouble getting to 225 million. Even though they're at 180, they're going to have trouble getting to 225 million despite a hefty net production budget of 144 million. Plus a big marketing spend. So for this movie to even break even in Hollywood math, it had to make 300 million. It is well under that 300 million.
I don't even think it'll break 300 million when it comes out on fucking video.
Yeah, no. This is not a good thing. This has not been a good thing. Now, whether, the people that came out and, said, hey, you guys were bashing it because it was anti-feminist, and, it was great. Kevin Smith, a guy who I personally look up to. I love Kevin Smith. And the whole thing, he came out in support of it and thought it was a great movie. And little girls were in the aisle dancing, and these little girls get to be, they have heroes in the film. That's great. I think little girls, as a man who raised 5 daughters, I want films in geek culture with strong female leads. Mm-hmm. You're not going to hurt my feeling with strong female characters. Thank you. Because I will go take my grown-ass daughters and my granddaughter to watch strong female characters in great geek films. And I love that idea of passing that on to the third generation in our family.
This is why I'm glad that Wonder Woman is coming.
Yes, but I want quality films. Don't just give me a film, put some female leads in it, and then it's a shitty film, and then tell me you're only mad because it was women. No, I'm mad because you took something that had a lot of great female comics in it, who I personally love watching. I love Kristen Wiig. I love Melissa McCarthy. I love Leslie Jones. And you put them in a shit vehicle, and you shit on another film that I really liked.
Shit in, shit out.
And I kept saying this. There was too much talent around this project for it to be shit. And I've never been so disappointed by the fact that you shit on this project, which should never have been a shitty project to start with. And
it gets shittier.
Yeah. So this story gets shittier because now they're talking about this was supposed to be the film franchise that reinvigorated this, and now they're already talking about canceling the sequel.
Yeah. And then on top of that, the company that made the Ghostbusters 2016 video game, Fireforge Games, filed for bankruptcy with 3 days after the release of the game. They filed for bankruptcy.
This is just getting worse.
It's just I'm kind of honestly just I'm done at this point about talking about fucking Ghostbusters in general. I'm glad it's gone, and I hope it just kind of passes out of the collective consciousness at this point, and we just don't have to talk about it anymore.
Well, there's the only good ray of sunshine out of this. The original writer, Ivan Reitman, he's in control of the Ghostbusters universe again.
Mm-hmm.
And he has come on and said that while there may not be a new, they're not going to do another Paul Feig movie. Mm-hmm. You know, it kind of looks like they're done with that. He runs Ghost Corps, which is a subsidiary with a mandate to expand the Ghostbusters brand across platforms. This is what's cool about this is they're working on an animated cartoon that he's going to helm called Ghostbusters Ecto Force, and they're wanting to do that somewhere in 2018.
You know, it would be fun though.
What's that?
Ghostbusters VR.
I can see that.
Give me the ability to be able to bust ghosts in my living room.
Well, you can also plan for 2019. Ivan Reitman bringing us an animated version of Ghostbusters to the big screen. So now it looks like the guy who gave us the original Ghostbusters now has his project back, and maybe it can be redeemed. But right now, I just see that everything associated with Ghostbusters 2016 has been a complete failure. And I, as a father and as a guy who supports strong female leads and roles in Hollywood, have never been sadder than I am at this moment to have to tell you that. It was disappointing the whole way around, and I feel like people jumped on it and made it an issue where it should have never been a feminist issue. It should have been, this film should be able to stand up as a shitty film, or it should be able to stand up as a good film. And time has told us it was a shitty film.
And Sony is, at this point, I think, completely and utterly guilty of attempting to use that angle, the feminist angle, to try to push the film to be more successful than it had any right to be.
Yeah, no, it was shitty played the whole way around, and I feel bad for everybody connected to it. I feel bad for everybody that was associated with the video game. I hate hearing a story about a company having to file bankruptcy, and then the people that are laid off. Because these are, let's face it, you and I work in the video game industry. Some of these people that are going to be laid off are friends of ours. Some of these people that are laid off are people that we've met before or that we talked to before. These are people, they're part of the industry that we call video games, and they're people that have families and they have lives and they have bills. And when they're laid off, I hate hearing that.
Yeah.
I hate it. So, man, definitely let's move on to something else. This one here, oh my God. We know I'm a console handheld junkie, and lately I've become somewhat of a mobile whore. But this one here, if you want to tell me a story that's going to get me hyped to be a PC gamer, you feed me these stories all day. This next story that you're bringing to me, I read this when you sent it to me, and I lost my ever-loving shit behind this. Quake Champions?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're a console gamer, I'm sorry. If you're on the PS4 or the Xbox One, let's just say it right now.
Have fun spending $500 on another console so that you can play this game, because they ain't bringing it out on Xbox One or PS4. It's just not happening.
They say it may still come to consoles at some point, but it doesn't seem likely that you'll see this game on the current PS4 or the Xbox One. And the reason why, if you play games just for graphics, what they're saying here should give you a hard on.
It's not just a matter of graphics too. There is a very distinct element to having your minimum frame rate in your game being 120 frames a second.
Oh my God.
And wanting it to be uncapped, because it's like VR. You unless you've tried VR, you have no idea what it can do and how immersive it can be. And with high frames per second, especially in a Twitch first-person shooter that moves very quickly, if you don't have at least 60 frames a second in that game, your performance sucks. So I go to work every day.
Remarkably sucks.
Like, compared to other people, you can feel it in the game. Like, I can take Overwatch, and you can literally say, you can have a custom FPS in that game. So you can set it exactly to whatever frame rate you want it to be at the cap. So you can take it all the way down to 30, and I can feel the difference between 30 and between 60, and between when I come home and I play it on my machine at 112 to 120 frames a second. And when I play it at work, and then I come home, so I'll play all day at work, and I will never have as good a game at work as I do when I come home and sit in front of my PC and fire it up and play that first game on my PC that actually has decent specs.
Yeah. No, let's be honest.
It's something
your
that you
home,
can
your
feel.
home PC is what a lot of people dream their home PC was. Let's be honest. This is your baby. You put a lot of money into this. Even the build that you built for me.
Yeah.
Would have a blast with any of these games.
You'd be playing on medium to high settings at 80 to 100 and 115 frames a second.
Yeah, I think I would cap out on the one that you got me at 115, and we had a
you
discussion about where I wanted to go with the graphic card.
You would stay there, and the current generation of consoles and the previous generation of consoles, they just can't do it.
Oh yeah,
they just can't do it, and that's the thing is like I think a lot of the times, regardless of emotional attachment to consoles.
Yeah,
if you took a console gamer and you put them on a PC with a controller and you were playing Battlefield 4 at 120 frames a second and you had them sit there and play for an hour, maybe 2 hours, and then you had them go sit in front of an Xbox and play, they would know the difference.
Well,
they would
you and I
feel
have talked about this. One of the things that we talked about is that I play Battlefield 4, which was my game. I liked Battlefield 4 on PC. But I liked Medal of Honor on the PS3. And I felt that Medal of Honor was one of those games that, let's be honest, they almost should have kept it to that. It should have just stayed, on almost a console game. We have it on PC. I think you and I both have it on our PC accounts. Mm-hmm. We both played it. It probably should have just stayed a console game. But Battlefield 4 is a totally different experience for me on PC. But there are certain games, like I told you, I have an emotional attachment to those games. It's like certain girlfriends. I will play certain games on my console, and I don't ever want them anywhere else. There are certain games that when it comes to it, Quake, Unreal Tournament, shooters.
Quake, Unreal Tournament, Overwatch, the new one that's coming out from Boss Key, which is...
I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it either.
Battlefield 1. We lucky enough to have friends in the beta that let us watch it.
Yeah.
Looked gorgeous on PC. And we watched it on some PCs that were running it at high specs.
Yeah.
And it was
everybody did really
view.
Like that's the thing too. This is what I don't understand is there's so much deception that goes on in the console gaming world because every time games go to E3, whenever they're being demoed or displayed, they're always being demoed or displayed on a PC every fucking time. Even if it says Xbox above it, it's running on a computer. But when you get it and you've gotten it for your console, they've dumbed down the graphics, they've dumbed down the fidelity, they've dumbed down the frames per second, and they've released it on a console. And then people get it on the console and they go, why the fuck does this screenshot not look like the one from E3? And it's because it's deceptive marketing.
Well, you and I talked about this on our very first issue, our very first episode of this. We talked about, I hate saying their name, but remember when Ubisoft was running games and they could run it on PC and they were running on PS4 and they were getting 60 frames per second on those two. And Xbox One said, you're not getting us at 60 frames. Well, your hardware won't run our games at its max settings. And then Xbox made a big stink about it. And we weren't the ones that even brought this story up. It was in Game Informer. It was on GameSpot. It was on IGN that Xbox wanted them to dumb the games down across for everybody so that it was fair because it was such a remarkable difference in how their games looked on PC and PS4. And you were the first person to say that. That's bullshit. You don't dumb it down for everybody else to meet the lowest performing kid on the block. The lowest performing kid on the block needs to beef it up to come up to where we were.
Yeah. It's all marketing and spin and stupidity. It's like if you're gonna demo a game for the Xbox, run it on a fucking Xbox. Show me that it's running on an Xbox. Don't piss on my head and tell me that it's raining, and then when I come to you later and say this is piss, you go, well, we had to kind of do the thing and dumb it down a little bit because your console's not fast enough to run this. If you're gonna go out and spend $400 or $300 or $200,
whatever it costs to get your console,
whatever it costs to get your console of choice, and you believe that thing that was created specifically to be the cheapest and most bottom dollar thing that they can produce and still manage to make some kind of a profit on, and you think that it's going to be able to shoot the fucking moon, you're ridiculous and retarded. Just get out. Just get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm. Go into it knowing what you're getting. And that's what I've always told you. That here's my thing. Video gaming is about, it taps into an emotion. And I think we've come to that. Video games tap into an emotion. It's an emotional experience for the people who play games, like hardcore gamers. They have a game that is emotionally tied to their favorite game of all time. And there's something that happened in that game that made it their favorite game of all times. I feel the same way about that when it comes to people that I have friends that they will buy every Nintendo console that ever comes out. They will buy every Nintendo handheld that comes out. I have another friend that will only buy Sony products and will never own a Microsoft products. And I feel like the part of the problem that we have is because we as gamers, I told you, the only people who are winning to me are the people who say, I will go play whatever game I want, wherever I want, and I will own everything to get every game I want. And those guys win because those to me are the true gamers. My thing, when it comes to PC, I have a thing for Sims 4. Good God, that game does something to me. It makes me lose my ever-loving damn mind. And it's because I shared that experience with my daughter on PC. But based on a personal story I told you, you know why the PS3 or Sony consoles are important to me. So it is what it is at that point. It's an emotional attachment. But this one here, this is definitely a PC game, and they're not making any apologies for it. Let's keep it going while we're on PC. You were telling me something about this. HTC Vive X VR Accelerator announces the first class of 33 companies.
So basically, we talked about this before.
Right.
HTC is putting together a seed fund to seed companies to make content for the Vive. And they're doing it in such a way that when the content releases, it can be released simultaneously on the Vive and on the Oculus, unlike Oculus, who's saying, we want exclusivity and console-like shenanigans on the fucking PC platform, which just doesn't
Which is going to create the same issue we have in consoles right now. And Vive said, fuck that. We will give you money to make your game where it doesn't have to be exclusive to one or the other.
Yeah. So all of these companies are basically going to be getting funded to make a thing that's going to be released for the Vive and for Oculus. If the developer so chooses to do so.
Here, let's go down. Let me take a look at some of these. So we got this one, App Magics, a young startup working on mixed reality MR apps for multiple scenarios. That looks promising. Then we got this one from Taiwan. I think there was one on there, the Action Bunker VR. They're the creator of Taiwan's first multiplayer warehouse-size virtual entertainment center with a first-person shooter VR experience.
So basically what they're saying there is Action Bunker is kind of going to be like your laser tag of old, where you're going to have a big facility that's going to have probably some kind of modular platforms inside of it, where and then you're going to be running around in it in a HTC Vive headset that's going to be tracked by sensors that are all over the building, and you're probably going to be wearing a PC on your back, so that you can run around, and you're going to probably have some kind of a gun or whatever, and you can basically run around there, and they can reskin the whole environment in 3D inside the headset, and then perfectly track where everything is in the system. So suddenly you walk into this warehouse that's just full of like blank squares and stairwells and walkways and ramps and doorways and things like that. And then instantly when you turn on the headset, you're on a space station. You're in a battlefield in World War II. You're somewhere else. And the physical environment is being mixed reality with the virtual environment that you're running around in, and you're playing against other people locally.
This is next level shit we're talking
This
about. This is the future. We are in the greatest. And
we live in the fucking future, man.
One of our greatest friends of the show, and JD, who's been on the show with us, but our boy Tommy, who does the Chainsaw. Tommy, I love that man, but let's face it. He says that we are in one of the greatest times in video game history ever. We don't even realize how good we got it right now.
I made a post on the Vive forums, which harkened back to a speech that Michael Abrash, who was one of the guys who was crucial in creating the Vive. He left Valve. He went to Facebook he went to Oculus when Facebook got taken over or took over. And he gave a speech, and he said he wants everybody to realize that right now, what's going on right now, we are living in the good old days. Wow. And he wanted to try to put together I guess, a way to let other people realize that, or to at least put it out there and say, look, you're fucking living at a time that in 20 years people are going to go, man, remember when this shit hit? Remember when this came out? Remember when that game came out? Who's going to make the Doom of VR? Who's going to make the Wolfenstein of VR? Who's going to make that one fucking game or that one peripheral or that one killer app? And from then on, there's a watershed moment that everybody's going to look back at. And that's the time that we're living in right now.
That's such a great thing. Even when he says that, it just... I wish people... I just really hope that if you take anything from this, take this from us. We are telling you to start being aware of shows like us and other shows, because you are living in the most amazing, cutting-edge time that you... This is a moment in history we're never going to forget. So... as long as we, man, it's just such a great thing. I'm just so geeked about it. Okay.
So, and then on top of this, like moving on with more VR stuff, there was a conference called China Joy in China where literally the whole thing seems to be VR focused. Like they have a bunch of different types of experience. They have a cockpit that can move almost in 360 degrees, so you sit in it.
Yes,
and
no,
you can
there
fly.
was a cockpit that was this was the roller coaster cockpit.
No, this is the roller coaster, yeah. But I mean, I'm assuming you could probably do other things with it.
Oh yeah, no, they had a bunch of stuff. I had to go do some digging for this. So China Joy was a huge thing. It had there was a massive one, and I think you may have a picture of it, and we need to get this up on the page. But there was one where it kind of looked like they were in a tank. There was one that was a roller coaster. There was one where they were flying around. There was so much craziness where these were like giant, like mech-sized contraptions where you were wearing a VR headset. It was amazing. I'm blown away by this. I really
for
hope
everybody
we get to see this.
that's listening, like right now, there's a person that's sitting in a cockpit that's being suspended in the air by a machine, and it's being lifted 10, 20 feet in the air. The cockpit spins independently of the rest of it, so you can get pitch and yaw and roll. Like, so you could be in a fighter pilot cockpit in space doing a barrel roll, living through a barrel roll happening to your physical body in the real world in response
while
to what
you are
you're
doing it in this game.
While you're doing it in the game.
Amazing.
Like, I would assume that this is probably going to be amusement park stuff. Like, the only way that this is going to be feasible at the moment is in some kind of amusement park.
The one that I like is where you see the 5 or 6 guys standing on a platform, and they all have guns in their hand, and they all have headsets, and it looks like they are moving out as a squad in real time. So it's like they're on a track, and the track is moving under their feet, but at the same time, they're kind of trapped in this area, so you kind of, like, while they're going to look like they're moving, they're not going to, it's controlled enough for them not to get hurt.
It's basically like a VR treadmill or a hamster wheel.
Exactly.
Except there's no wheel. You're standing probably in a bowl wearing shoes or wearing socks or something that's semi-frictionless, and when you walk forward, you're putting your foot at the top of the bowl and then pulling it down to the bottom of the bowl to simulate walking so that you can move when you don't have a lot of space. Then they're also strapped in it so that, like, you know, if they dodge or weave or duck or do something crazy,
off and bust their head.
They won't fall over and kill themselves.
It looks amazing, bro. Can we just say this? One year, you and I, we got to go do one of these.
Yeah,
we need to go to one of these because they're doing some stuff that is next level. Now, all the good things that are happening in just the virtual reality gaming, I got to talk about this one because this is something you've been talking to me about since we started. That one of the things that I noticed that you brought to my attention was that the Vive, we pointed out that the Vive has been outselling the Oculus.
Yeah, still is.
And it's like, even then we looked at Steam numbers and we kept bringing our, people that followed us.
The reason that Vive is winning the war is Vive has room scale, and Oculus wants to do room scale, and Oculus probably should have waited to release their headset until room scale for them was done.
Right.
But instead they wanted to get to the market first because they had a more recognizable name at the time. and it's hurt them a lot.
It
Their shipping dates are fucked. I think people are just now in August starting to get their Rifts when they're actually purchasing, they're getting shipped. But it looks like Oculus Touch, which is Oculus's answer to HTC Vive's just having motion controllers that came out when it came out. Their Oculus Touch controllers are not going to be released, it looks like, possibly until December 21st.
Which sucks.
Like
because
4 days before Christmas, you're going to start shipping this thing. Like, how are you going to give that as a gift to somebody?
Let's be honest. Christmas starts earlier and earlier every year. Meaning, if you're going to not release this controller to the 21st, it's not going to be on a lot of people's shopping list. You're not going to make a impact in the market. And I don't care who you are. We make huge impacts in the market, in the video game industry, at Christmas.
On top of this, here's the other fucked up thing. When you buy the Oculus Touch, you get a second Oculus Touch camera to track you, and the only type of tracking it can do is when you're facing them. So if you face away and the base stations can't see where the light's coming from, that's coming out of it, because the way that the tracking on this works is there are cameras that look for infrared light that's coming out of the headset, versus the Vive is the other way. Infrared light comes out of the base stations, the controllers in the headset detect it. Mm-hmm. So on the HTC Vive side of things, you only need 2, and they come with it to do room scale. Mm-hmm. Whereas on this, you need 2, and the only thing that you can do is face them. You can't turn completely 360 around, because then you lose tracking and everything goes to fucking hell in a handbasket. So not only are you going to have to buy the controller set, which is 2 controllers and 1 base station, you're also going to have to buy 2 more base stations and set up 4 of the motherfuckers to point at you to be able to detect where you are in a 3-dimensional space so you can actually do room scale, which means that the cost on the Oculus side is going to be far higher in the end, because you're going to have a minimum of 4 base stations. You're going to have to pay for the Oculus Touch controllers. You're also going to have to pay for a 3rd base station, which is going to come with the controllers, and you're going to have to buy the headset.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
This is the
$799 or $600 plus $200 probably for the controllers, and then probably another $100 for 2 more base stations.
Well, I mean, let's face it.
That's just
the
speculation.
Touch is probably going to be about $250. Yeah. And to ship it, you're probably going to pay another $30 in shipping and postage because you got to insure it.
The Vive is a huge box. I'm not going to lie. The box
I remember
for the
when
Vive
you brought the box.
Is fucking gigantic. I have it in my bedroom right now. It's fucking gigantic. But that box with everything that you need to actually do real room scale VR is $799 plus, at least to get it to me here in Texas, would have been $67.
Woo!
Just for shipping. And that's not even like get it to you the next day shipping. That's get it to you whenever it finally gets there shipping.
Woo! No.
It's like 5 to 7 day shipping, not 3 day or 2 day or Amazon Prime shipping.
I think we can, I'm not saying we can shut the door on the Oculus, but every freaking week we are bringing you another story about how troubled this whole launch is for them.
We're getting to the point now where the Vive is actually going to start coming out with other peripherals other than just the ones that come with it. So other than the headset, the tracking, the base stations, and the 2 controllers, Valve has finally opened up the hardware to developers for interfacing with Lighthouse. So basically, HTC is gonna manufacture and sell the tracking component that is on the headset and is on the controllers, and other companies are going to be able to buy them and integrate them into their designs and release them, which means that Vive is going to have a healthy third-party ecosystem of other things. So we might have...
The beauty of this is that they built it this way. They said, hey, we want third party. We don't want you to have to depend on us.
That's the thing is, like, when Valve was building this, they wanted to make the Lighthouse USB. That's what they wanted. They wanted to create a standard that everybody else can latch onto and use. Mm-hmm. And that's what they've done. They've created a standard. They're releasing the ability to be able to create things using the standard, which means that, like, in a little while, you know how everybody oohed and awed over the PlayStation VR's little, like, gun-like PlayStation Move controllers?
Right, yeah.
Well, now we could just manufacture a gun with the sensors on it and then release that, and I could buy it, and I could possibly in the future play the raw data and have two guns instead of having the controllers, instead of having the wands. I could play, I don't know, whatever it is. Like I could play Job Simulator and actually have two controllers that are just my hands, because they've released gloves that have the little trackers on them. And I mean, realistically, we don't even need that, because if you go into the next story that we've got, it's Intel is releasing a peripheral that's a lot like Leap Motion, where Leap Motion tracks your hands. Well, this is going to be able to do that. It's also going to be able to track objects in your way. So
depth sensing is what we're saying.
Yeah. So
they're teasing this for the developers conference.
Yeah, and depth sensing with cameras. So in addition to the camera that's already on the Vive, that's actually used in conjunction with the Chaperone system, and the Chaperone system itself, with this add-on that's going to plug in via USB and just attach to the front of the Vive, you're going to be able to say, oh, hey, the cat just walked in, and I can see the cat in the game, or a representation of the cat in the game, so that I know not to kick the cat when he decides to bolt across the room while I'm flailing around in VR and can't see him or her.
Right. Man, this is... Okay, first of all, this is huge. This is freaking huge, okay? This is not something that we can gloss over. And the fact that every week, and I like to feel that we try everything we can to not have a bias. You know, we call shit, and we call amazing. Valve and Vive every week keep doing amazing.
Yeah.
Every week we bring a more amazing story out of the PC industry about this. I just can't wait to see what's going to happen. This one here is big, though. This is real big. There was another thing I kind of wanted to talk to you about. I know there's been some talk already about, what was it? I want to say we did a Suicide Squad special.
Yeah.
Okay. There's been some talk behind it because, during our Suicide Squad special, I realized we didn't talk about this. The fans have rated the movie higher than the critics did.
Yeah.
Much higher. People who are paying money to go watch the film are having a different reaction than what the critics were. All right. Have you heard that there were some people who were trying to boycott Rotten Tomatoes?
No, they were trying to get Rotten Tomatoes shut down by using a petition system, which I think is the fucking dumbest thing that I've ever heard ever.
Here's my thing. Whatever happened to free speech? Those critics have a right to their opinion, no matter how wrong it is. They have a right to make it.
Rotten Tomatoes, those scores that are on Rotten Tomatoes, those are not scores that are made up by Rotten Tomatoes. Those are scores that are aggregated based on actual movie reviewers from real outlets outside in the movie industry. So the LA Times, local newspapers, Chicago Tribune. We
know all the papers.
That's like saying I want to shut down Google because Google's bringing me Google searches that I don't like.
Exactly.
It's fucking stupid.
We live in a society where we're not sure everybody's smart. I think we can say that safely. But yeah, I saw that, and it was really one of the things I wish we could have talked about it, that people are mad because a combined critic score was low, and they like, we should stop Rotten Tomatoes. And it's like Rotten Tomatoes like, did you read do you know how math works? Do you know how averages work? This
is like if we were going to shut down Metacritic because a video game that got released in the wild, all the game reviewers from IGN and fucking GameStop or wherever the fuck that has reviewed a video game gave it a low score, and then Metacritic tallied those scores together into an overall score that you didn't like.
Yeah, very stupid. I was very upset about it. There was some cool things that came out, and we can do a little bit of this. Aquaman, while we're on talking about Suicide Squad, we saw a Justice League trailer. I've told everybody, Aquaman is finally looking like the badass he deserves to be. And I think that I'm not the only person that thinks that, because did we not get a little bit of Aquaman news lately?
Yeah. I think that what Jason Momoa is bringing to it is he's putting the man in Aquaman.
He's a man's man. He is bringing the hell yeah man to Aquaman. And
he's getting a villain in Black Manta.
This is Aquaman's Joker.
Mm-hmm.
This is Aquaman's number one nemesis. And that's who we're getting into Aquaman's standalone movie is Black Manta.
We talked about something like this during the Suicide Squad special because I brought up the fact that I think that the Flash is going to get Gorilla Grodd as his villain. because they're gonna want to go with the biggest and the baddest. It's like you can't make a Batman film without having the Joker being the nemesis in at least one of those films. You can't make an Aquaman movie without having Black Manta in that film. But I think, like I said before, they're going too hard too quick. They gotta ease into it. You gotta make love. You can't just run in and smash the pussy and leave.
You want them to be the Marvel. You want them to take their time and build a universe. Which look, here's my thing. I've said this before. Marvel gave you a recipe on how to build an amazing cinematic universe. Why recreate the wheel? I can just improve the wheel. And one of the things that JD said was that, let's face it, when it comes to villains, DC has some of the most iconic villains. Their rogues gallery of villains, they got it in spades. They got badass villains in the DC universe. That
leads back into, if you go back to a few episodes ago when I was talking about that 2000 AD documentary, where DC basically sent an emissary over to the EU and stole all of the good comic writers that were working on 2000
they
AD.
Brought everybody,
and
man.
They brought the fucking thunder. That's why DC has such a good rogues gallery and has such good iconic storylines and characters and things that have happened within their universes, because they stole all of it from 2000 AD.
Oh, yeah, no. The talent that came out of 2000 AD and came over to DC pretty much shaped their entire Vertigo line. Okay. This one here, some sad news out of the Marvel TV universe. Marvel TV president says Daredevil and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters will likely never appear in the films, which is really jacked up because if you remember, a year ago, we had a crazy situation happen where, what was it? I guess his name, what is it? Charlie? What's his
Charlie
name?
Cox?
Charlie Cox plays Daredevil.
Yeah.
You remember we found that thing where a year ago his contract said he had to be available for film and television.
Yeah.
That was part of his contract, and now they're kind of backtracking a little.
Well, the TV portion of Marvel is now being headed by somebody other than Kevin Feige. So Kevin Feige is still the ultimate architect, but the TV division has kind of been divided, and that's the problem.
And I don't like that.
I don't like it either. I mean, you could take Charlie Cox off. I mean, you're not even going to have Daredevil until 2018 anyway. Why the fuck can't Charlie Cox be in some scenes or be somewhere else within the Marvel Universe while that's going on?
Yeah, can he not be in Spider-Man Homecoming? Can he not be in the Avengers?
Like I said before, I would even take small nods. Like, if in Daredevil Season 2, in the background, in one of the scenes, there's a little Spider-Man just swinging from one building to another. Just off in the distance, just a little thing. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a cameo. They don't have to come on set. You just have to acknowledge that these other things are happening. And that was what the original Daredevil season did really well, was it played off of the chaos that happened after New York got its shit pushed in.
And this was one of the things we talked about, you can actually see the newspaper of the Hulk in the Abominations battle from the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
In the office of Ben Ulrich.
You don't need more than that.
We saw that newspaper. Then we saw another one where we saw a storyline that was very prominent about how they were rebuilding after the Avengers movie and the whole thing with, the invasion with the Katuri there were things
Chitauri.
The Katari.
Chitauri.
The Chitauri?
Yeah, with the CH.
Like Atari, but with Ch in front of it?
Yeah.
So they did something so amazingly well to tie the TV universe and the movie universe
and then
together.
it's like okay, we're done with that now. We're not going to do that
They did
anymore.
it with Jessica Jones Season 1. Jessica Jones has a whole episode where they were mad at... A woman tries to kill her because her mother died when one of the buildings fell over on her from the Avengers fallout.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the tie-ins are still there, but I think what they're getting at is, like, you're not going to see Charlie Cox actually in Infinity War. You're not going to see Punisher in Infinity War. You're not going to see Jessica Jones in Infinity War. You're not going to see Luke Cage in Infinity War. You're not going to see the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in a movie incarnation, we're never gonna see Coulson interacting with Captain America
I
again.
miss Coulson from the movies. Like, as great as Civil War was, I wanted Coulson in that film. Because to me, Coulson was as much a part of the Avengers team as Nick Fury. I think we're missing an opportunity here.
And think how fucking, like, could you imagine the look on Cap's face if Coulson walked in the fucking room?
Oh my God, yeah.
That would be a great moment.
These are the things that I loved about Marvel, and I think that to take these things out.
The entire Marvel Cinematic Universe was built on the back of Phil Coulson.
Thank you.
Because Phil Coulson was the thread that tied everything together. And after every movie, with like minor exception, he was the one who was going from place to place. He was the one who was gathering the information on who should be on the Avengers team. He was
the heart and soul of every one of these films.
Yep.
And to take him out, we saw, let's face it, we watched the Thor movie, and that's where we first see Hawkeye and Coulson.
Could you imagine if the scene where Coulson comes in is like Cap's about to get blown up and Coulson comes in and his fucking, Darth Vader hand fucking pops out that fucking shield and saves him, and it's basically just a mirror image of Cap's shield, the look on Cap's face? Jesus Christ.
Bro.
I'd break into fucking tears in the theater.
I might break into tears because they're talking to me about not bringing Coulson back to the theater, and I'm not happy with that. I mean, this has been one of our issues that you said with DC. Quit fucking over your TV universe and not bringing these characters into the movies. It's a bad move, and I don't like it. Let's get into a little bit of news, man. Some Spider-Man Homecoming news. Man, Spider-Man has got something coming out. Like every freaking week we're getting news about this movie, it feels like. For a while they were super quiet. Now we're hearing more.
So Martha Kelly, she's best known for her role on FX's Baskets, is going to be coming in currently for an undisclosed role as a part of the course for Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures, blah, blah, blah. So she's going to be coming in and playing somebody. We don't know who
We don't know who she's playing. Then, okay, so let's start breaking it down. We found out Zendaya's role.
Yeah.
And you told me that earlier today.
Yeah, she's Michelle Gonzalez.
Right.
Yeah.
Then we found out that Michael Keaton was going to play the Vulture. Mm-hmm. We figured out the whole thing about the kid from the movie Dope. The Spanish kid is going to be playing Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, okay, that's kind of a weird one. We still don't know. I guess Hannibal Buress is going to be a teacher of some kind.
That's what I think. I don't know if we have confirmation on who he is yet. I haven't actually bothered to look it up. That's why.
I haven't heard anything about what Glover.
Donald
Glover.
Dong Lover.
Yeah, they haven't told us what he's doing. They haven't told us what Hannibal Buress is doing. There's some weird shit about that. I mean, you're putting everything else out, but these two big names are not mentioned what their roles are going to be. There was some out. It just seems like every time we turn around, here's some more Homecoming news.
Yeah.
And the thing that you said that kind of fucked with me is that, are we overloading this film? Oh, Bokeem Woodbine.
Yeah.
Also got announced as the Shocker.
Yeah. And
we just found that out this morning.
I think.
So now we got the Shocker and the Vulture in this movie?
I think it's gonna be an ensemble cast movie, kind of like
Civil War,
or like The Expendables, where big names are playing bit parts just because it's fucking Spider-Man, and it's fucking Marvel doing Spider-Man. It's Marvel's day to be like, this is our baby, and we're gonna bring it back into the fold, and we're gonna do it in the most spectacular way possible. We're gonna have everybody in the movie is going to be somebody from somewhere. You're going to know them. It's going to be an ensemble cast. It's going to be amazing and awesome. And I think after this movie, I hope it never fucking happens, but if after this movie Stan Lee dies, he would actually die happy. Not even though I know that he would probably die happy regardless of whenever he dies.
Yeah.
He would die happy knowing that Spider-Man was treated properly.
Yes, and that's the thing that we're finally seeing. Marvel Studios is getting Marvel Studios films.
DC Studios needs to be a thing. They need to completely disconnect from Warner Brothers. We need a DC Studios that has no oversight by anyone at Warner Brothers other than, here's the fucking money to make the goddamn thing.
Yeah, and we will get out of the way and let you make your movie magic. You go pick your director, you go pick your stars, and we'll shut up and just count money as it comes to the bank.
And the people who are going to be writing the scripts, they need to be the people who wrote the comics. Period.
Yeah. Or
Period.
Or the people from the TV.
Or Greg Berlanti, though, he's from...
Let's bring the guy... What's the name? Greg Berlanti does the entire... He's the architect of the DC TV universe.
Yeah, he's the Berlanti-verse is what they call it.
Let's have him just be the Berlanti-verse, and it be TV and cinematic, and he has yet to pick a bad actor for any role.
I want Grant Gustin on the big screen as the Flash.
Although I'm kind of getting a thing for Ezra Miller, I really do like Grant Gustin. He's my Flash.
That scene where he shows up in Suicide Squad was cringeworthy for me.
You really are just against him.
I'm not against him. He's not. It's that suit. That's the problem. It's the fucking suit. I can't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Why do we have a better
Power
suit
Ranger
for the Flash on TV than we will on the big screen?
Why do we have a better suit for the fucking Kid Flash than we do for the Flash in the fucking DCU? I mean, what the fuck is with that? The DC Extended Universe Flash has a worse suit than Kid Flash.
That's crazy. That is so crazy, and you're so right. Let's go ahead. I got some more news. There was some William Dafoe news you told me.
William Dafoe, yes.
I think he's talking about he's coming to do Netflix's Death Note. He's going to be the voice of the Shinigami.
Yeah.
And
he even looks like the Shinigami, so
he really does look like the Shinigami.
When I saw this picture, I was like, oh, well, okay. I understand now.
It's not a stretch. I am going to, we're just going to put that in everybody's ear. William Dafoe coming to do Netflix's version of Death Note, a live action version of Death Note. He will be playing the Shinigami. We got so much more we want to do, but I think we should end the show right there. We are pretty pressed on time. We put a lot into this hour.
Oh, yeah.
Man, dude, always love hanging out with you. Always love doing the show. You're getting ready to hit the road for a while.
4 days.
Going to be gone.
Hopefully I can actually get some peace, but I doubt it because I'm going to be in a house with an entire family.
And hey, family, gotta love them, can't kill them. That's pretty much the rules of it. And I got a baby shower coming up. I have my second granddaughter. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a final. We're pretty grandson heavy, and I've done my part to make all of the grandsons and granddaughters here. Pick a hero, and that's who we're going to support. My oldest grandson now decided that he's not picking one hero. He wants all the heroes. And he's making me pretty happy. But I got another little girl coming in, and I got to figure out who she's going to be. I hadn't quite decided, but I think she's going to be an X-Men fan. I think that's what I'm going to do. Grandpa's going to introduce her to the X-Men at an early age and get her to understand the beauty that is Storm.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking in my head. I was like, Storm.
Yeah.
That's where we're going with this.
She
Storm.
is either going to be the Dark Phoenix or Storm. She can choose, but she's going in the X-Men universe. But yeah, man, it's always a good time on the show. Guys, we cannot thank you enough. Your support, the show is growing. We got more people subscribing to the show on iTunes and Google Play. Even our followers on the YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel has some people jumping in and always writing us from there, man.
Yeah.
We love it. Thank you for subscribing to the show. Continue to get your friends to subscribe. We do this out of our heart, and
they
we
tell
do
two
it
friends.
for you guys, man.
And they tell two friends.
Yeah, that's all we need you to do.
Friends.
Tell two friends, and then tell those two friends to tell two friends. We are really, you know what? We're starting to march to 1,000. And we need as many subscribers in the march to 1,000 because we got some big things planned, and we can't get those big things to go through without more people coming in and doing this show with us. But we got some huge moves we've made to try to get some certain guests on the show.
Come on with it.
And we're telling you, you'll be able to say, I was here before that huge guest showed up, and we are working on some huge stuff behind the scenes. So thank you guys for it. You know how to reach us. Show's going to give you some information. Listen to the after credits and follow us on all of our social media outlets. And we will see you next time. Same Team Lift channel, same Team Lift time. Peace. Thanks for listening to the Team Lift podcast with your hosts, Brendan Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Join us again next week as we discuss more topics from geek culture. Be sure to follow us on our Twitter page @GoTeamLift, as well as our personal pages @Coach Silky and @Thizide. You can direct questions and comments to us on our Twitter page, as well as find links to all of our social media outlets. Thank you for listening. See you again next week.